they're seeing the way he does like normal run of the mill things, like, pour a cup of coffee, and they're saying, "Oh, is that the way a sociopath or a person with a history of violence might pour a cup of coffee?"
So does he, like, pour the coffee very, like, aggressively?
He pours it through a gun. He just he holds up the pot,
I
he
mean,
shoots the pot, and it drips into a cup.
I was gonna say maybe he has a revolver and he fills up 6 coffee cups at the same time, just, like, pouring 1.
These are my coffee bullets. I froze them before, but the gun heats them up, so by the time it hits the glass, nice and warm.
What's going on, everyone? It's 20 years of Joe's Crappy Movies, and we're taking a look back at the movies of Joe's Crappy Movies. So, Joe, what are we taking a look at this week?
Hey Phil, this week we're talking about A History of Violence. This is a David Cronenberg movie about a man that may or may not have a mysterious past that involves hurting people.
A history of
Uh,
violence, you mean?
hey, you say it your way, I'll say it my way. Everyone's okay. So like the Internet Movie Database description says, a mild-mannered man becomes a local hero through an act of violence, which sets off repercussions that will shake his family to the very core. And that is the basic premise of the movie. Viggo Mortensen plays Tom. He owns and operates a diner. One evening, a couple of out-of-town thugs just happen to be passing by, and they stop in, uh, and they're rough and mean, and they push things too far, and they're gonna their plan the whole time was to rob the place. So they're gearing up to rob the place. Tom, this is all set. People might consider this spoilers, but this is really the premise of the film that I'm describing right now. Tom defends his diner and his patrons that are still there, and ends up in the process killing these two guys. Uh, he then gets a lot of news coverage, and that brings out some people out of the woodwork that are like, "Hey, I recognize you," and he's like, "No, you don't recognize me." And they're like, "Well, we kind of recognized you." And actually, this was kind of like the most fun part of the movie for me, um, because these thugs that come into town are adamant about it. They're like, "Hey, it's you. What are you doing hiding here? You need to come back and answer for things." And Viggo Mortensen, Viggo Mortensen's character Tom is just like, you got the wrong guy. And his wife pulls him aside and says, "Are you the guy?" And he's like, "I'm not the guy." And the sheriff pulls him aside and says, "Oh wow, this is crazy. Listen, are you that guy?" And he's like, "I'm not that guy." And his son, like the whole family and everyone around him, he's telling them that he's not this guy. And it's very interesting the way it affects people. Suddenly they're seeing him in a new light, and they're seeing the way he does like normal run of the mill things, like, pour a cup of coffee, and they're saying, "Oh, is that the way a sociopath or a person with a history of violence might pour a cup of coffee?"
So does he, like, pour the coffee very, like, aggressively?
He pours it through a gun. He just he holds up the pot,
I
he
mean,
shoots the pot, and it drips into a cup.
I was gonna say maybe he has a revolver and he fills up 6 coffee cups at the same time, just, like, pouring 1.
These are my coffee bullets. I froze them before, but the gun heats them up, so by the time it hits the glass, nice and warm. Um, that's a different movie, but not a bad one, honestly. Maria Bell plays his wife, and she's great here. Maria Bell is great in everything. And I feel like this is kind of in the height of her career, and that it was really sad to see like she just stopped getting roles. Um, but I feel like she was all over the place in these few years, and then she replaced Rachel Weisz in the Mummy franchise, and then yeah, she was Evie in the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and then she was in like she was like eighth build in Grown Ups, the Adam Sandler movie, something like that. And it's just like, I mean, that was probably a fun set to be on, but like I just feel like she wasn't getting she hasn't been getting roles, and it's sad. But it was fun to see her again. She's great in this movie. It also has so like after Tom kills these two guys, more people come, and the person that comes next is Ed Harris. Ed Harris with a dead eye, and like if Ed Harris shows up at your diner and he's only got one good eye, you need to listen to him. He did there's a movie called Mother by Aronofsky, and uh it stars Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. And in the middle of the night, someone comes banging on their door. Like
Mhm.
they're out in the middle of nowhere. Someone comes banging on the door. So they run downstairs and they open the door and it's Ed Harris. And I'm like, shut that door. Like there's no reason to let this dude in. Ed Harris is bad news. And true to form, he is very much bad news in this film. Very cool. He brings a lot of like creepy, sinister. Like the first group of burglars or of of thugs are just angry. Ed Harris is like a calm angry, and that's
Yeah.
very scary. So I appreciated him and what he does here. He's got a few good scenes. Those two good thugs, I just want to point out, they open the film, and we see them going cross country, and we join them in like the opening of the film. The opening shot, I think, is them at a motel, and they rob the motel. But in that scene, it was so close to being a really good oneer, where
Mhm.
like they come out of the room, one of them gets in the car, one of them goes to the office, the car drives up, he comes out, and then the other guy goes into the office, and I was like, follow him in, follow him in. This is going to be really good. And the camera's going right behind him, and then it switches. And I was like, oh, instead of being a really amazing oneer, it's like a solid tour. Is that a thing? Like, if you have two shots, is that a tour? Because the inside oneer is also very good. They've just been able to,
Like stitch it
piece it together.
together.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to tell this director how to do his business because it is David Cronenberg who's like a master. But as an opening scene, I was like, make it work. Get in there. Get squeezing right behind him. The son in this movie is being bullied. That's his story. And after he sees his father like exhibit violence, he then exhibits violence towards towards the bully, whose name is Billy. No, that's not true. So it's a lot of stuff like that. You get to see like how violence or sudden violence affects small town America. That's very cool. And I don't want to spoil too much more. I don't want to say whether or not he is this person they think he is. I will say that he goes then to explore like why these people want to talk to him, and he
Mhm.
meets up with bigger bads in the thug hierarchy, and which include William Hurt. It's great to see William Hurt in this
Yeah.
movie.
Nice.
Um, but I won't say any more because I feel like that's the best part of this movie is that game you play of like is he or isn't he? It's really good times.
Nice. Um, so I think you mentioned, uh, not on this recording, but, previously that this is based on a comic?
Yep, this is based on a comic. A History of Violence is a 1997 graphic novel by John Wagner, illustrated by Vince Locke, about a small town diner owner. Um, and I remember reading it at the time. Like I bought it 20 years ago when this movie came out and read it. And I feel like they were, you know, close to each other. There's not a huge departure.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, and this is like, I have not watched the movie, so this is not a spoiler, but, like, in my mind, after you said it was a comic, I was like, "Oh, obviously he's got an evil twin."
Oh, I mean, no,
Is
this
that
is a serious
mustache?
comic.
Oh, no,
Like,
goatee.
yeah,
I'm
there's
sorry,
evil versions
goatee.
out there.
He's got a goatee.
Like a nice long one. He's like, ooh, that's him. I seen him. Now, I don't. I mean, maybe I don't want to spoil it for you, but because this is a movie worth watching. But it's not an evil twin. It might not be him. He might not be the guy that he might just look like the dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah.
If you had told me that he like, the possibility of it there being an evil twin, I would have looked up where to watch it.
Uh, all right. It might be an evil twin,
Ooh, okay. There you go.
and you can watch it on Pluto, streaming on Pluto for free.
Nice.
There's a scene in this movie that I want to mention before I forget to mention it, but um, the the thugs are kind of terrorizing him and his family. They're just there, and they're just like, you know, tell us what we want to hear, and they're just like, go away. But so they're kind of bothering them. And there's one point where the thugs come by the diner, and Viggo Mortensen's character comes out and sees them, and they sort of imply that they're going to go to the home and like attack his family. And they drive off and speed off in that direction. And Viggo Mortensen calls them and is like, get the shotgun, blah blah blah. And then his plan is to run. He's like, they're like, it's like very rural, very much farmland, but the cars, it's still a moving, it's a vehicle, and he's running, in the same direction. And I was like, how does he think this is going to work? And then it cuts to him running down an old country road. And I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, what's going to happen? Is he? And I imagined him sort of cutting across backyards,
Mhm.
jumping off of trampolines, Ferris Bueller style. And then I started to hear that, like, the music they were playing was very sad and like tense. But then I started to imagine the music from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and I can the music that happens during that like run scene. I was like, okay, and I wish that existed somewhere online. If I was in any way talented in terms of like editing sound with video, I would put that music to that scene, and I would love it. But yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've got video editing software. Um, maybe that'll be like an extra that we post on the channel for people to see.
I mean, make it a short. I'll like. I don't know if anybody else will watch it, but I will watch it 1,000 times.
So I guess you mentioned some of the cast. Is there anybody else in this cast? Are do any of the thugs like pop up as names that you know?
They're definitely familiar faces, but no, not especially.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Stephen McHattie. That looked familiar. He's the one of the original thugs, and he's in Watch. Oh, he plays Hollis Mason in The Watchmen, and he's in The Fountain, and he's in Shoot 'Em Up. So I've definitely seen him in movies before. Um, but no, not especially. And that's the other thing too. Is like this movie is short. It's like a tight 135. So there's not a lot of time for fooling around. Like you get the 10 people in the cast, and that's about it for the most
Okay.
part. Yeah.
Nice. So uh, so you mentioned it's streaming on Pluto TV. Is that what it's called?
I think that's where I saw it. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm assuming you do not own this.
I do not own it. I don't know why. I enjoyed it at the time, 20 years ago when I saw it. Um, but for whatever reason, I just never went to return to it. I mean, it's worth mentioning that this is a slow burn of a movie. Like Tom is this quiet guy that runs a diner, and they drive that home. They're like, he's a boring guy. He's like, he's living a simple life. So the movie's really slow until suddenly it boils to these moments of violence where it gets ultra violent,
Mhm.
like jaws falling off, and you know, very very violent, very bloody, and you're like, oh my god! And then before you know it, the violence is over. So it's it's like it heats up really fast and then boils over and then it calms down again. It's a very strange rhythm. It just I remember like it just wasn't the kind of rhythm that I could imagine myself watching over and over again. Even though I was glad to watch it again this week. It's a good
Yeah.
watch.
Nice. Um, so is if people are looking to watch a movie with similar vibes to A History of Violence, is there something you would recommend?
I have two quick suggestions. Uh, Odenkirk's movie Nobody, where he plays a man with a history of violence uh, and a secret past, sort of has the same vibes. It's definitely done in a more amped up, more
Yeah.
MTV generation sort of like fast and fun. It's not like a slow paced sort of character study. It is very much just like a
Action.
unexpected man action movie. Like, but still fun. I still love that movie. But my true recommendation, without spoiling anything, would be Begonia. Did you see Begonia, the movie that came out this year or
I
last year?
did not see it. No.
Okay, it's the Yorgos Lanthimos movie starring Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. And the premise of that movie is Jesse Plemons and his cousin in the movie, not his cousin in real life. Could you imagine? Jesse Plemons and his cousin kidnap Emma Stone. So they are like, I mean, they are poor, down on their luck young men, and they kidnap this sort of business executive and accuse her of being an alien, and an alien that's controlling things. I won't say anything more about the spoilers, but the movie presents this outlandish premise, like, oh my god, these guys are idiots, but they keep talking, and then I went full kombucha girl on Begonia. I was like, she's not an alien. Maybe she is. This time, like I was really like, I like they really like they're like maybe she is. There's no way she is, but of course she could be. And then like Begonia has a perspective, and I'm not even gonna say if they give you a definitive answer, but it's a fascinating ride of is she or isn't she? And again, that was my favorite part of History of Violence. So go see Begonia, even if you don't like History of Violence, because it's a movie worth watching for sure.
Okay, nice. So any other closing thoughts on A History of Violence?
Uh, like I said, really enjoyed revisiting it. It'll probably be a movie I don't revisit again for a little while, uh, because it is such a quiet character study. Um, and it's a movie that makes me think, oh, what other ways could they do this to expand on it? Because it is such a brief moment, uh, but it's very good. So I would recommend watching it.
All right, cool. So have you all watched History of Violence? What'd you think? Let us know in the comments below. Um, is there an evil twin in History of Violence? Drop me a comment. Let me know.
There
Um,
is. Not, there's not, I don't
ooh. Wow.
know.
But if you like this, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and become a subscriber. And we'll catch you all in the next one.